Honorable members of the British Houses of Parliament, dear friends of the Iranian resistance, I salute your conference. I'm deeply grateful for the initiative of the majority of United Kingdom's elected representatives in support of the Iranian resistance for freedom and democracy. This is a commendable step towards the adoption of a responsible policy vis-à-vis Iran and the entire Middle East. Also, let me congratulate you for the registration of the British Committee for Iran Freedom in the United Kingdom Parliament. There is no doubt this has been a great achievement as a result of all your tireless efforts and widespread support of the honorable elected members of the United Kingdom Parliament from Iranian People's Resistance Movement throughout many years. Dear friends, in light of the Iranian regime's role in the crisis in the region, this initiative has also taken into account the interests of the people of the region, the people of Europe, and the world in general. Dear friends, 1 year after the nuclear agreement, contrary to some expectations in the West, there has not been any opening in Iran. On the contrary, the situation has dramatically worsened. There have been more executions and arrests, flogging of workers for demanding their past due wages, arrests and lashing of youth for taking part in parties. Concerts have been banned and political prisoners have come under more pressure. On the other hand, the Iranian economy is in deep recession with banks near bankruptcy, unemployment rate reaching 50%, and the majority of the people living in poverty. The internal power struggle has been intensified. The sham elections in March further reinforced the position of the most repressive mullahs in power. Once again, it was proven that there would be no moderation within the religious dictatorship ruling Iran. The clerical regime lacks the capacity to change its behavior. No solution is conceivable within the regime. The mullahs have stepped up their interference in Syria. In Iraq, the Quds force has repeatedly massacred the Sunnis. The important development in this regard has been the consecutive defeats and heavy casualties of the IRGC and its militia in Syria. The mullahs are at an impasse in Syria. The regime has stepped up repression and warmongering because it faces growing discontent at home. They want to suppress any expression of discontent or a repeat of the 2009 uprising. The regime's aggressive behavior in the region is a sign of weakness and not power. It needs to export its crisis abroad. Khamenei and other leaders of the regime have repeatedly admitted that if they do not fight in Syria, in Iraq and in Yemen, their power base in Tehran would be undermined. This explains why Iran's ruling regime has turned into the main source of instability in the region. On the one hand, it constantly breaches the sovereignty of other nations in the Middle East. On the other hand, it cracks down on Sunnis and other dissident and democratic forces. This provides a suitable environment for Daesh. Many attest to the fact that the Daesh and IRGC have a symbiotic relation. In practice, both benefit from one another. The mullahs' warmongering in the region is counter to the highest interests of the Iranian people. It prevents the Iranian resistance from bringing freedom and democracy to Iran, and also has destroyed the Iranian economy. Therefore, the Iranian resistance is putting forth a plan to counter the mullahs' warmongering and its attempt to occupy the region. The plan calls on the United States, Europe, and regional powers to adopt several practical steps outlined as follows. First, compelling the Iranian regime to remove its forces and affiliated militia from Syria. Adopting punitive measures, including sanctions against the Iranian regime if it refused to do so. Blocking the Iranian regime's participation in the talks on the transfer of power to the people of Syria. 2. Refraining from cooperation or coordination with IRGC and the militia under its command under the pretext of fighting Daesh in Iraq or in Syria. 3. Strictly implementing Security Council Resolution 2231 by taking effective practical measures to prevent the Iranian regime from sending arms to terrorist groups and to countries in the region, especially to Iraq and Syria. Holding it to account for any breaches. 4. Cutting ties with the Iranian regime by Arab and Muslim countries and expelling the regime from the Organization of Islamic Cooperation until it ends its regional meddling. 5. Recognizing the moderate Syrian opposition already recognized by many countries and providing it with all-out political, financial, and military support. 6. Banning deals, investment in IRGC companies and investment in their projects, as well as exchanges with the Iranian regime's banks, which engage in money laundering and fund terrorist groups. Dear friends, on behalf of the Iranian people and resistance, I would like to appreciate your efforts for the Iranian people's freedom and human rights, as well as your support for the safety and security of the steadfast freedom fighters in Camp Liberty. Thank you all very much.